welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell by the title, today I'll be doing a story time about my experience working as a server in the fine dining industry, and also my pros and cons as far as serving goes. Before I get started, I do want to introduce you guys to our special guest, Pepper. Say hey, say hey. He was actually here first, and then he didn't know I was gonna come over here and start recording, but we'll see how long he stays to join us. Hey. Mm-hmm. Don't be acting funny. Don't be acting funny. Don't be acting funny. Don't be acting funny. Oh. Well, that was short-lived. He be acting funny on camera, y'all, but he actually loves me in real life. He just left the room, so. If you have a cat, you know that cats be acting funny, especially on the camera, because he just put on a show for y'all. But let's get back into the story. Many moons ago, years ago, when I was much younger, I was working at a fine dining restaurant. Prior to this job, I never served in my life. It was definitely an experience. I worked at a steakhouse. I won't disclose the name of the steakhouse because that's not important. It's in the past and it could burn up to flames for all I care. It's whatever. That part does not matter. But yes. So let's just get right into the story. So pretty much I knew someone within the company who put me on with an interview, and had the interview. The interview went well. It was definitely more so casual than a formal interview, just because I knew someone within the company who referred me. So it was just more so relaxed than like super straightforward. Why are you here? What are you gonna do for us? Because I didn't come out of thin air. So that definitely helped. One of the questions that the manager did ask me was, have I ever served in a fine dining restaurant? And I said no. However, I am a fast learner and I'll pick up whatever skills I need to be able to provide my guest with an excellent experience. And he was like, okay, well, that's good. We're gonna have extensive training before we even open up the restaurant, so you don't have to worry about that. We'll train you up on everything you need to know. So I was like, okay, great. Now, with that being said, I just want to point out that whenever you're in an interview, never throw yourself under the bus. Yes, he asked me, have I ever served in a fine dining restaurant? The answer is no. To throw yourself under the bus is to sit there and say, no, I've never served in my life. Like, he didn't ask you, have you ever served in your life? He didn't ask you, have you ever served? He asked, have you ever served in a fine dining restaurant? Answer the question, move on. So I just feel like if you're in an interview, just think about your answers. Are you throwing yourself under the bus? If they didn't ask you a specific question, or if you can reverse it or change it up, whatever you need to do to get the job, then do that. But don't throw your own self under the bus. And also, it's definitely about who you know. Especially in this scenario, for me, it was about who I knew. Definitely got me in the door. I would say that in life, with the different opportunities, I feel like it's 60% who you know, 40% what you can actually do once you get through the door. And depending on who you know, you may not have to do as much work when you get through that door. So it's definitely the closer the relationship, the higher the position of the person that you know, the less, work you have to put in. So, but I definitely think it starts at 60-40 at the minimum. It's not half and half. It is not half and half. It might be 70-30, honestly, but free game for y'all. Always be networking, never burn bridges, because you just never know when, someone can help you out. But let's just move forward. So getting into training was supposed to be 2 weeks, it ended up being like 4 weeks. It was very extensive. So for me, I had to learn how to serve, okay, because I've never been a server in my life, but yet like nobody knew that. So I'm like trying to not make it obvious that I've never done any of this before. So I had to learn how to serve, plus learn the menu, plus learn how to serve in a fine dining like restaurant, which I guess you can say learning how to serve and serve in fine dining, it just goes together. And that kind of, I will say, because I didn't have any experience, it helped that I wouldn't make, mistakes or just skip over things that someone who was working in a a diner or something casual, a casual dining area. Some of the things that they would bring over into a fine dining area, which everything that I was learning was fine dining and that's it. So I'm not really making those like mistakes or like trying to cut corners, because all I know is how to serve in a fine dining restaurant. So that was actually I will say that part was a plus. I had to learn the menu. I had to learn how to like describe different foods on the menu. I have my notes here so I don't get too far off topic. So if you see me looking down, that's why. My biggest fear as far as serving went was that I did not want to drop any plates or any like any drinks or anything like that. So I was very like nervous for that part. Even though I've never had experience in the fine dining industry or just serving, anything like that, my mindset was you can train yourself how to do anything. There's so much information out there. I have friends who serve. I can watch YouTube videos. I can read books. I can go out to eat and literally watch the server serve me and just take notes on everything. So it wasn't even a matter of, oh, I'm nervous, I'm not gonna be able to do this. It was just, okay, just make sure you practice so on the first day you don't drop everything and just look clumsy. So that was the biggest thing I was worried about. However, by the grace of God, because I was working in a fine dining restaurant, we actually had food runners that bring out our food. So the only thing that I was actually carrying were the drinks. So that was nice. And if I had a party of like, I think once I had a party more than 6, I would have like an essay, like, which is a server assistant who would help me get the drinks. So then at that point, I'm getting nothing. I don't have to carry anything. So that was great. Well, I won't say carry anything. I would have to just present wine, decant wine, and bring the bread. Like, I was in charge of bringing the bread. So yeah, so that was easy. So that was a big help. Later on within the job, I did learn how to like carry plates. However, I didn't have to carry like 5, 6 plates at a time. We're talking about carrying 3 plates at a time. So it was fine. When it comes to things that were actually harder to learn or things that I found kind of tricky, was taking drink orders and just learning the menu as far as the drink menu. You know, all those terms like shaken, stirred, neat, up, none of those different terms. So all of that was new to me, on top of the different types of drinks like Moscow Mule. What's another one? Like dessert wines, dessert drinks, all those things I had to learn. Let me tell you this side story. One time I was taking care of these guests at my table. This guy, he was like, let me get 4 roses. And I heard exactly what he said, because it's like quiet. And I write down 4 roses. And I'm just like, okay, I definitely asked him what he wanted to drink. So let me just ask him again. So I was like, what was that? And he was like, let me get 4 roses. Neat. And I was just like, okay, great. And I'm walking away from the table and I'm just like, I hope 4 roses is a drink, because I don't have 4 roses to give him. There are no There are no Four Roses. There's no plants within this whole restaurant, and I really don't feel like bringing a manager to tell him we don't have any roses. When I went to the kiosk, I ended up asking one of my coworkers, like, hey, do you know what Four Roses is? And they were like, oh, it's a bourbon. Here, let me show you, yada, yada, yada. So, whew, by the grace of God, it was, in fact, a drink. So, that helped. But, I'm glad I definitely didn't go to that table and say, oh, like, we don't have any roses. Would you like something to drink? You know, just throwing myself under the bus. So, definitely, if you are new to serving, just write it down and ask somebody that works there the questions, or look it up online. Do not ask the people at the table. Like, That was the only thing that I definitely had to take my time and learn more about, like different types of wine, what different types of wine pairs with, like as far as a Sauvignon Blanc or, you know, a Cabernet, Merlots, just learning the best food pairings with those, just to give the best recommendations and things like that. So that was one thing. Yeah, besides that, it was pretty easy. It wasn't hard. I feel like anybody can do it, just practice. You don't need a degree to serve. So it's not, you don't need a degree to do a lot of things. So that's really like another piece of advice that I can say, that you can honestly train yourself to do a lot of different things. If anyone would like to try serving, I definitely recommend like trying it out. For me, I went straight to the top, straight to the deep end, to the fine dining, and it was like a cool experience for what it was. But I believe that everyone can do it. It's not limited to certain people. Definitely not. With that being said, let's get into the pros and cons of being a server. So I will actually start off with the cons and end off with the pros. I think that's better because, you know, end off, you know, rain and then a rainbow. That's what I'm thinking. So let's get into it. All right, so number one has to be cleaning the restaurant after the restaurant is closed. That was one thing that I was not fond of. I do not like working a whole shift and then when the restaurant closes, you have to sit there for an hour and a half or longer cleaning the restaurant, you know, wiping down all your tables, putting all those place settings down again, folding napkins, cleaning the bathroom. I just, no, you already worked so hard putting on a show for your guests, and then to turn around and be a maid for an hour and a half, like, I just did not like that. And then sometimes the dishwashers were backed up with dishes, so we had to wait until all the dishes were done, and then we had to wipe down all the dishes before we put them out on the floor. It was just so, like, you could be 2 hours after the restaurant closes is a long time. You're looking at, you close at 10 and you're there till midnight. That's disgusting. I'm not trying to stay at a job that long, especially not cleaning. So that was annoying to me. Okay, up next is going to be serving amateurs. And when I say serving amateurs, I mean like the people who do not look at Yelp before they come into the restaurant, and they're looking so confused that everything is super expensive, or, you know, it's like, come on. Everybody, whenever somebody says we're going here, you should instantly be looking up the menu. You should already really know what you want, like I do. So I don't understand why everybody else is looking so confused. But those are for the amateurs that come in there and they're like super shocked at the menu. People who come into a steakhouse, like, you're coming, for me, when I see guests come in, majority of my guests who came in, they're spending money. They want to eat. They want to celebrate. They want to close a business deal. They want to, you know, rejoice, enjoy a good quality meal. So that means you're going to spend money. They're not, you know, amateurs come in and they get a salad and they split it as an entree. Amateurs are very much penny pinchers. Amateurs are asking me about the menu, asking about getting a steak, and asking me what size come with it. Nothing comes with the steak. You can order the size, so it's things like that. That was kind of annoying. People who bring their kids to a steakhouse, it's just kind of like, kids are not meant to be in a steakhouse. And more so, especially if they're not well behaved, like no one wants to be a nanny plus a server. Like, no. Especially when the child is talking over the parents and things like that. It's just too much. And most importantly, the reason why you should not bring your children to a steakhouse is because there's no kids menu. Like, that should be the biggest. There's no kids menu. Do not bring your kids because there's no kids menu. Like, we would rarely have plastic cups, so that means they have to drink out of a big tall glass that they're most likely gonna drop on the floor. Like, it's just a disaster. So yeah, so that's what I mean when I say amateurs. My next point is going to go into, it's a little bit of amateurs, but it's also gonna be talking about doing hard labor for a low tip. When I was working in the industry, I never had to worry about getting under tipped. I think that probably happened maybe 3 times out of 100. So I didn't really have to worry about that. But what I mean by hard labor are those guests who come in and they always ask for bread. I mean, always ask for bread. We always bring out 1 serving of bread for everyone, but majority of my guests do not ask for more bread. That's it. Or sometimes they say, we don't even want the bread that you're bringing out. But the people who ask you bread like 2 times, you already know. Like, after that, or the people who ask as soon as they get the menu, oh, do you guys serve bread? Like, you already know what type of time it is. They're about to be asking bread throughout the whole meal. They're gonna fill up on bread. So when you're filling up on bread, what are you getting to? You're not gonna get a whole steak. Those people rarely get a whole steak. They're gonna get, a burger split between, each other, or a salad split, or 2 appetizers, and keep asking me for bread. That's how they're gonna fill up on their meal. So that's kind of annoying because you're running back and forth to a table that's not really spending no money. So your tip is gonna be 20% of $40 versus, a typical table spends about $200 and you're getting 20% off of that. Another form of hard labor are those who order Diet Coke. I kid you not, 100% of the time, every person who orders Diet Coke drinks it like it's water. Every single person. They will drink it like it's water, and I have to run back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and get them more Diet Coke. Like, people who drink Diet Coke drink more Diet Coke than they do water. It's disgusting. Like, and that's hard labor. Running back and forth for your Diet Coke. Like, can you just drink water? I don't like that. Like, that's the most, between Diet Coke and I will say number 2 on that list would be tea. People who ask for tea, sweet tea, they, I feel like that's like 60%, but 100% for those Diet Coke drinkers. Yeah, so hard labor is never fun, especially when it's over things that are very low in value on the menu, because you working this hard and you're not even about to get a lot of tip money. So that sucks. The number 1 thing that I have to say that is a con is that, yes, you're a server, but a server originates from the word servant. So at the end of the day, you're at a job where you're fetching water for someone all day, fetching Diet Coke for someone all day, getting them food, X, Y, and Z, like, that's not a leveled up job. It was cute at the time. It was fun. It was a cool little job. I do recommend that everyone should serve at least one point in their life, just so you can get an experience for when you go out to eat. You can actually relate to the server. You know, when your food comes out, when you're out to eat and your food comes out wrong, you're not going to be like blaming the server, because you've been there and you've done that. You can just be like, hey, it's really not his or her fault. It's 9 times out of 10 the chef's fault. And you'll just be like more relaxed when you're out to eat, and you're just more mindful about what you're doing. That guest, that's not annoying. When I go out to eat, like now I realize when I can look around and tell that my server has 3 other tables or 4 other tables, and you know, I can see that there's other guests who are just being difficult, and the last thing I want to be is another difficult person. If I'm waiting on water and I see that my server is running around from all these tables, like, you know what, I'll even tell her, hey girl, bring 2 waters because I'm really thirsty, just so she doesn't have to run back and forth. Or I'm not going to keep asking her to bring out bread, or if I do ask her to bring out bread, I would say bring 2 baskets so you don't have to come back and forth. But I'm not really a bread eater, so I wouldn't say something like that. But yeah, so that's something that I wanted to point out, that at the end of the day, you're still a server. But that's something that I wanted to point out, that at the end of the day, you are a servant. So I don't know. It just doesn't sound like appealing. Being a servant is not something that I want to do for years and years and years. You don't retire a servant. Like, there's no retirement money for that. So yeah, I think it's great for people that are, you know, in their 20s. Yeah. I think it's good for those people, or if you are looking for a job that has flexibility, then yes. But yeah, no, I don't think being a server is something to brag about. That's where I'm getting at with this. Like, being a server is nothing to brag about. I would have coworkers who would brag about how this celebrity and that celebrity came in their section and they took care of them, but I'm like, that's not really a story to tell. Like, you got this person water, you like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not lit. That's not worth telling your kids. Like, I took care of this person. I served them wine. Like, that person does not remember you. So I'd rather meet celebrities or just meet other people in different scenarios than actually taking care of them. So that's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's yours, but that's just my opinion. So moving on to the pros. Okay, so I have 4 different pros. And number 4 is going to be having a flexible schedule. When I was serving, I worked Monday through Thursday and like every other Sunday. So I would have 3-day weekends, which was nice because I can go out of town right after work on Thursday and just enjoy my time, and I have to worry about work or things like that. You can pick up shifts, you can swap shifts with someone because, you know, your restaurant is open every day. So that was like a great quality. There were a lot of my coworkers were like actresses and actors. I had other coworkers who had their own business and they just picked up maybe 2 or 3 shifts out of the week. So yeah, I definitely think that this being a server is a very flexible job in terms of creating your own schedule. And it can be weekly, it could be daily if you wanted to. You could just be someone who only picks up shifts, but you don't actually have days that you consistently work. So I think that's a cool thing as well. Number three is gonna have to be food. So being that you are a server, you are going to be able to try out different foods that, you know, the chef makes. If he makes a new item on the menu, everyone gets to try it for free so that you're able to explain to your guests, hey, this, you know, I personally like this, or I don't like this, or, you know, these flavors are prominent, X, Y, and Z. So, you know, you get to try out food that you may typically not have would have bought with your own money or even thought about trying out. I think it's a great opportunity to just expand your palate and try out different foods that you never tried before. Foods that you probably would not have bought with your own money. So you get to try these foods out for free, so that's good. And also, I don't know if this is at every restaurant, I don't think it is, but at my old job, we used to have family meal every day, and family meal would consist of a free meal of whatever the chefs made for us, for all the people that worked there. And that really helped, especially in terms of just cutting down on your grocery bill, because you are at work all day. So that can essentially be, you can have breakfast at home and then have your dinner at work and be fine. So that helps out in terms of groceries. So my next pro is going to be working in a cool workplace. Every day, I kid you not, every day there was new tea. Whether it was the people that I've interacted with at my tables, or another server, you know, whatever she had to deal with or he had to deal with. There's always some juicy story that you can hear about. You're most likely going to get different guests every day. You know, maybe the people that come in all the time, they come maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, but you're gonna get different people that come in, and you can just interact with these different people. Say that you don't just serve as a server, like you're hosting the table, you're essentially doing a song and dance at the table. You're recommending the best products, you know, you're making sure that everyone at the table is good. You're pretty much anticipating their needs before they ask for your help or for your service, because that's what essentially makes a great experience is, oh, this server knew what I needed without me having to ask her, or, you know, feel uncomfortable bugging her to get me X, Y, and Z. You know, can you give me another fork? Can you fill up my water? Could you pour some more wine? You know, things like that. Things like that are important. I've also served tables where, you know, we're talking about more than just the menu. We're talking about, oh, how was your day? You know, how was work? People ask me relationship questions. I've had at least like 5 different guests who have been in the restroom crying, and I've had to have that heart-to-heart with them and just, you know, try to get them back together so they can go back and enjoy their meal. So, you know, you're doing more than just serving. You're definitely, like, a part of the job is being a vibe, being someone that your guests can relate to, someone that your guest, you know, feels comfortable around. So you definitely have to keep those things in mind. But of course, you're gonna meet new people every day. So that's why I say it's a cool workplace, because the job will never get stale. Like, you don't have to worry about doing the same thing every day with the same people. And no, it'll definitely have like something going on every day. And my last pro, which is going to be the best pro, is that you have the opportunity to network. You have the opportunity to network with your coworkers, with, you know, your boss. If you wanted to own your own business or own your own restaurant, you could essentially job shadow them. Most importantly, you can network with your guests. So, people of all different types of occupations come in, especially in the fine dining area. They're coming to close business deals. People are coming in to wind down after a long day of work. housewives, you have lawyers, doctors, all types of people are coming in to just relax. It's just a nice opportunity to network with your guests, and when you provide them with a memorable experience, they'll most importantly remember you because you provide them with that experience, and they may want your service elsewhere. They may want your service, you know, at their own firm, or I've had multiple people in real estate who said, hey, like, have you ever considered real estate? You know, you're really good at recommending things on the menu, and we love your personality. Like, here's my card, let me know if you are thinking about this. It's definitely just different opportunities as far as networking that exists when you're a server. And if you're always putting your best foot forward, you can expect to open more doors and meet new people. If you have your own business, you can give out your business card. You can let someone know, hey, I'm doing this outside of my job as a server. Check this out. And who knows, that could help you move on to the next step into whatever you're trying to do. But I will definitely say networking is the number one thing that you can gain from being a server. So that's going to be my pros and my cons as being a server in a steakhouse. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below how you feel about serving, if you ever served before. Would you ever serve if you were given the opportunity? And some of the things that you don't like about servers, like, put it down below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already doing so you can see my next video as soon as I post it. And share this link with all your friends, especially those who are interested in getting into the service industry. All right, guys, I will see you in the next video.